Okay, next is macros 1. Okay, unused macro. To do, fix the macro call. Oh, okay, this is just saying use, even says use bang to invoke the macro. Bang. And I have a little Clippy help here to say the way you call a macro is with bang. Okay, that was easy. What's macros 2? Cannot find my macro in the scope. Unused macro definition, warn unused macros. A macro with the same name exists but appears later at here. So this is just showing us that you need to define the macro first. Unlike functions, which can be defined anywhere in your file, macros need to be defined before they get used. So that's all they're saying, is move that around. Okay. Next up is macros 3. To do, fix compiler error without taking the macro definition out of this module. Oh, I see. So we put it in a module, and we tried to use it here. There is no Clippy help for this. Oh, there is. Sorry, I missed it. It wasn't green. That's why I didn't see it. But it says help. Have you added the macro use on the module import? So that's all we need to do here. Macro use. Right. And I think all this does is export the macro, right? If I comment this out, I think I could do the same thing by saying pub use my, or pub my macro. No, you can't. I thought maybe you could do that. Super. I'm just, because the way the macro works, the way the macro use macro works has to be something like this, right? No. Okay. This is the answer. This is how you fix it. Macro use. Okay. What's next? Macros 4. No rules expected this token in macro call. And this says expected semicolon. It's interesting that it puts expected semicolon here. It should be here, right? Because between all of the branch arms of a macro, I think this is trying to teach you is between branch arms of a macro, you need to put a semicolon. And that fixes that bug. But it's interesting that the compiler or the LSP is putting the error on this line. So there we go. What's next? Clippy 1. The Clippy tool is a collection of lints to analyze your code so you can catch common mistakes and improve your Rust code. For these exercises, the code will fail to compile when there are Clippy warnings. Check Clippy's suggestions from the output to solve the exercise. Approximate value of constants pi found. Okay, that's pretty clever. If I just make it 3.1, will that go away? Yeah, there you go. I solved it, but I solved it, I don't think, the way they were expecting. So once you get to 3 digits, 3.14, then Clippy says, oh, you might be talking about pi here. And you should just use the pi value, which is F32 consts. I did 32 because radius is F32. Standard. There. Or you could do this. Didn't do the whole thing. There. How's that? Mugafa says, pretty clever linter. Yeah, I like it. Next is Clippy 2. Consider using if let to clear intent, if let some blah. Yeah, because you can iterate over options, right? This is an option, and we're iterating over the option. And it comes in here if the option is a sum, but not if it's a none. And so it's clearer to say if let sum x equals option. Yeah. All right, that was Clippy 2. Clippy 3. Here are some more easy Clippy fixes so you can see its utility. To do, fix all the Clippy lints. Okay, so the first one, well, I don't know if it's the first one. Here we are. First one. Probably missing a comma here. Yes, we are. And this says we're incorrectly trying to swap two values. Right? We're putting B into A, and then we're taking that value of B and putting it back into B. So it doesn't really swap. But we can use standard mem swap. Like that. The next one here is on line 9, and it's saying unwrap on a none value. Oh, okay. Can I change it to sum? And then what else? This let binding has unit value. Oh, because we're doing a resize on it. So what we actually want to do, I guess what we could do is this. If we really want to create it and then resize it to 0, we can say my empty vec equal dot resize, like that. All right, did that fix all of them? No. Okay, that's interesting. We use unwrap on a none value, but Clippy's not smart enough to see that we only call it if it is sum. And then the other Clippy lint here is that you can just use clear. So that's interesting. So I'll switch this back to none, since that seemed to be like what the intent was, and we can just print out the option like that. Mugafa says, does Clippy see that it never changes? Yeah, Clippy would know that just by the definition here because it's not mutable. Yeah, so that's interesting that it wasn't able to determine that this is always false. And so this code would never execute. Interesting. All right, let's leave it that way and move on. Using as. Let's see, typecasting in Rust is done via the usage of the as operator. Note that the as operator is not only used when typecasting, it also helps with renaming imports. Okay. To do, make conversion before dividing. Cannot divide F64 by usize. The trait div usize is not implemented. Okay. But it says make the conversion before dividing. So since we're looking at a len, I guess I'm not really sure, because len is usize, but we're expecting to return an F64. So, I mean, we can say as F64 here, but then we're doing the conversion while we're dividing. I guess it's technically before because PEMDAS. Yeah, let's go with that. I'm using the as, which is what they're looking for.